Hi, welcome to Family Sense. Family Sense is dedicated to equipping every man, every woman, every husband, every wife with practical wisdom on family and marriage, especially in these toughest times. This is a production of No Regrets Communication, a division of Hope Education Network. Should you have any questions or need any information, please feel free to contact us on 0772 518 554. You can also contact us on 0754 734 738. You can also email us on noregrets@counselor.com. Right now, join in for insights from today's session. God bless you.
You observe from earlier on here that increasing diligence is not a material reward. It's a reward within you. Increasing skill, increasing good work, increasing gratitude, healthier relationships. These all together lead us to increasing material. So we must have a manifestation of all the other five into material. There is nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with you buying a shirt or two or three. There is nothing wrong with you driving a VTs or even the latest Mercedes-Benz. No problem. Most importantly, how is you inside? There is nothing wrong with buying a plot here and there or even a square mile of off Kampala. No problem. But your attitude, the inside of someone, is extremely important. And God will always look at that. So when we count, and God is very interested even in material, as much as he's interested in your spirit. But primarily, he's interested in what? Your spirit first. And when your spirit is in good state, what is he going to do? It will help you to operate in this world so effectively and productively. Isn't that what Agnes told us? When you have those qualities within you, you become so productive and very effective in your productivity. And that's what we are really looking at, even in getting the rewards. And so please, we must get what? Rewards. Even material rewards. Okay? Don't feel ashamed of getting rewards from what you do. Don't feel ashamed of getting what? Rewards from what you have done. Feel ashamed of getting rewards from what you don't do. Feel ashamed of it. But it appears as though today we don't feel ashamed of getting rewards from what we have not done. And then we don't know how to get rewards from what we do. My prayer is we've got to shift a little bit on that mind. So there is a cost attached to every little piece of work you do. There is always a what? A cost. Don't even look this way or this way. That's a basic fact. Even for you to come here, have you paid or not? You have paid. Have you? If you have traveled by vehicle, did you put fuel in that vehicle? If you have traveled by public means, didn't you pay the fare for the taxi? If you have walked here, have you spent energy? And won't you need food to recover that energy? There is a cost. In as far as you are living in this world, you are always meeting costs. You like it or not? That's the basic truth we must know. Now, the battle, we think we don't meet costs. It's because we don't bother to count them. We don't bother to count. A good question. Today is Saturday, isn't it? How much has your life cost you over the last 1 week? What has it cost you these last 7 days? Most of the time, we don't realize how much it costs us. How much has the food you have eaten cost you? How much are clothing you wear cost you? You might say, I didn't buy a shirt, but the issue is that shirt will wear down. And that dress will wear down. And at some point, you'll do what? Buy. So you are spending it little by little until the cloth wears down. You are spending. Whether you know it or not, you are actually spending. And we must be sensitive to that. And such things must be trained in our children. I know it is strange. I know we who are adults who are here, young and old adults, it is strange for us because it was never told to us that there is always a cost attached to living life. Yes, it was never taught to you and me by our parents, but we must teach it to our children so that they don't end up being beggars and always waiting for somebody else to do for them things they must do. Speaking for the welfare system will be another day. Today we are talking about getting material what? Rewards. It's real. I almost think even this pastor here who is looking at me right now here, when he really needed to make sure he sees properly, he went and said, please, I'm a pastor, I take care of sheep somewhere, so please give me spectacles so that I may read my Bible very well for free. Is that what happened? You pay! Or even, is that what you tell Umeme? Church has costs, they are real. And they must be paid up. Otherwise, you will end up trying to look for muzungu wange. And I have found people in the church circles fighting over bazungu. Mvira ku muzungu wange. Hey, I'm bringing them on table, please. There are those things which happen behind them. People, count the what? The cost. Be sensitive to it. I am being very, very emphatic on that. Don't just let things move. Be sensitive. In fact, if you don't count cost, you are just being childish. Oh, sorry. That's one of my character inconvenience. Those are not sweet words, but it's the basic truth. If you don't count costs, you are just being childish. A child is the one who doesn't care about what is happening around him. All he does is eat, cry for food, and not mind about where the food comes from and how much work is involved to just have food, however little it is, on his table. Doesn't mind about where money for buying clothes come from. It's a hard gospel, but it has to be. Doesn't care about where money for saloon comes from. All they do is say, Mommy, I want a new cut. It's hard words. Of course, what I'm doing is heart-storming you. I'm not saying brainstorming, I'm heart-storming. Let's speak to each other in the heart. How together? Yeah, it must get in there. And we talk from that level. So, count the cost. Be very sensitive to these things. It is actually very godly to be very sensitive to these things. Look at what Proverbs chapter 27, verse 23, downwards there. That will help you. There is an entire set of wisdom on getting material rewards. What does it say?
It says, Be careful to the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds. For riches do not last forever, nor does a crown last from generation to generation.
Are you hearing that? Be what?
Be careful.
Is that a suggestion?
It's a command.
It's a command. Be careful to know the condition of your finances, of your costs, of living every day. So what is the opposite of being careful?
Careless.
And how many of us are careless about that? Of course, I don't have to sweet talk anybody. I already sweet talked one woman and that is enough. So I don't have to sweet talk you. You understand? Be careful to count the costs of life. How much is it costing you to live life every day, every week, every month, every year? It's very godly. So be sure to make material profit by counting costs involved in the process of your work. If you don't do so, you set yourself up to fail. And you'll end up with the Proverbs 19:3. What does it say?
Proverbs 19, verse number 3. A person's folly subverts his way, and his heart rages against the Lord.
Are you hearing that? A person's own foolishness spoils his life, destroys his life. And what is he going to do? Blame God for it. Blame God for it. And how many things do we end up blaming God? Yet He's provided us with what? His will, His way. This is His way. Our own foolishness sometimes does what? Leads us to ruining our lives. And the next thing, say, God, you have forgotten me. Has He really forgotten you? Have you bothered to take His message seriously? And of course, there must be quietness in heaven, like it is in this room. No problem. Must be. And it should be, really. So when we talk about getting material rewards, it is a very serious thing. And there is no mystery about this. There is no what? We should not be mysterious about this. And I wish that is how the gospel is always preached, even every sermon in church. Because the sermons, God doesn't want to remain mysterious. He wants to reveal Himself to each one of us very freely. Look at what he writes in Acts chapter 17. What does it say in verse 14 from verse 24 to verse 28? We are finding firm ground to talk about this thing as clearly as we can. What does Acts 17 verse 24 to verse about 28 say?
It says, He is the God who made the world and everything in it.
And everything in it. Does that include the plot you have?
Yes.
Good. Continue.
Since He is Lord of heaven and earth, He doesn't live in man-made temples.
He doesn't live where?
In man-made temples.
25.
And human hands can't serve His needs, for He has no needs. He Himself gives life and breath to everything, and He satisfies every need. 26. From one man He created all the nations throughout the whole earth. He decided beforehand when they should rise and fall, and determined their boundaries.
So you're born in Uganda by accident?
No.
You wish God made you a Chinese?
No.
And we're always looking for the quickest visa out of Uganda. Land of better things in America and, all those things.
Opportunities.
And meanwhile, they run here to find their opportunities here, and we don't even realize that. Continue reading.
27. His purpose was for the nations to seek after God and perhaps feel their way toward him and find him. Though he is not far from any one of us.
What have you said?
He is not far from any one of us. It's God.
He's not what? Far from any one of us. His intention is not to remain mysterious to anyone. Never. He wants to make himself very, very clear. And his message should be expressed down to earth. So plainly, so clearly, that somebody actually knows who God is. And he reveals himself in his word, soundly clear, his intention, his perspective of things. Now, the biggest battle we have, we always live with the two minds, double-mindedness. One mind is God, one mind is not. No, now here, these are not things of God. These ones are of God. What doesn't belong to God? Do we even ever bother to find out scripture and what it says even about leadership and politics? And I want to tell you, only the Bible makes political sense.
Remember that you are engaged in a Family Sense gathering, which is dedicated to equipping every man, every woman, every husband, every wife with practical wisdom on family and marriage. I hope you're enjoying yourself.
Do we even ever bother to find out scripture and what it says even about leadership and politics? And I want to tell you, only the Bible makes political sense. That is it. No option. Look at Isaiah 33 verse 22. To let you know, even politics, he's very interested in that. Very much so. So if someone is called to politics, let him go, but operate by his standard.
For the Lord is our judge.
The Lord is our what?
Our judge. Our lawgiver. And our king.
Thank you.
He will care for us and save us.
The Lord is our judge. What does judge represent? Judiciary? Yes. And the what?
Lawgiver.
Lawgiver. Who are the lawgivers? That's Parliament.
And our king.
Law king. A king. What does it represent? Executive. So the entire arms of government are just right there represented. And we never bothered. What is his mind on judiciary? How should the judiciary run? God's way. How should Parliament operate its business? God's way. And then you find people who seem to be very godly, and they come from Pastor Chisa's church. I know that very well. Then they go to Parliament, they get lost. So is God meant to be too far? We just not bother to find out the things. Look at Ephesians chapter 4. Chapter 3.
Chapter 3.
Sorry, I made a mistake. Chapter 3, yes. Verse 7 to verse 10.
By God's grace and mighty power, I have been given the privilege of serving him by spreading this good news.
We serve God by what?
Grace.
We serve God by what?
Grace.
That should check on my pride. Thinking how wonderful I might appear to be, and how I can cause Mr. Chan to laugh his head off. No. Servant by what?
God's grace.
The moment I lose track that it's by grace, what is going to happen? I'm going to begin feeling and expand and swell. And you cannot run a business by your own power and might and sustain it and still be at peace. Continue reading.
Though I am the least deserving of all God's people, he graciously gave me the privilege of telling the Gentiles about the endless treasures available to them in Christ.
Thank you. The grace is given not for nothing, but for a purpose. And that purpose is made so clear to let those who don't yet know what needs to be done, who God is, to know who God is. So if you get to know here the truth, you must go out and share the truth with the next person. That's what it is. It's not for nothing. How should you even share that truth? Continue reading, verse 9.
I was chosen to explain to everyone this mysterious plan that God, the creator of all things, had kept secret from the beginning.
He called to do what? Explain. So clearly. So that things are no longer what?
Mysterious. Mysteries.
God doesn't want things to be mysterious. Things must be plain and what? Clear. The truth must not be taken on just the way which doctors do, to prove they are powerful. In fact, for me, when we share the truth and it becomes so clear to the point I'm no longer relevant to speak to you about that truth, it's a great joy for me. Abner, when we share the truth and it is so clear to you, to the point you no longer need to come to me for that truth, it's a great joy for me. It makes me irrelevant in your life, and that's okay. But it makes God more relevant in your life. And sometimes we are scared, especially we churchmen. We are always scared. People might run away from me when they get to know the truth. What will they need me for? They will not even bring the tithes and offering. But the truth is, the more you do that, the more they realize the need for God. And the more you are effective at what you are doing, the more productive you are, the more people you reach out to do the Lord's will. You become so unlimited in life. And why does he make it so plain? Verse 10.
God's purpose in all this was to use the church to display his wisdom in its rich variety to all the unseen rulers and authorities in the heavenly places.
What is God's purpose in all this? To use what? The church to reveal, to display, to show God's wisdom in all its various what? Ways. If it is wisdom for agriculture, let it be revealed. If it is wisdom for politics, let it be revealed. It is wisdom for business and enterprise, let it be revealed. So clearly. And if the church does not reveal God's wisdom, another priest, especially the chief priest of the LGBTQIA. You know, there used to be 4 letters. And the priest keeps adding what? Extra letters. And they keep adding. And they keep adding. Now that has dominated over the last about 6 months. That has been the dominant topic all around. Plus Mabati. Then Engora. And those are the topics. And should that be the what dominates our nation? Really? So who is not doing the work? And who is responsible for the problems of Uganda? Who? Church. Who has said that? Please raise up your hand. Stand up. Please, everyone clap for that man. So the problem of Uganda is the church not doing its work. It's not Mr. Museveni. Don't blame that man. The problem is the church. Because the church is also living in disorder, living in exploiting each other. And you know we exploit each other. You know how Pastor Mwesigwa comes in and all he's doing is he's standing on the pulpit to preach. After that, come to him. He's not minding about that piano guy who did what? Who is playing the wonderful music, taking people into the presence. Unbothered about, did he eat food? Is rent paid? Where is his wife? Hey, I'm on you, Pastor Kisa. Hey, you know, you are now representing, yeah? Hey, I'm trying to find how we can be sure to make material what? Profit by doing what? Counting the costs involved in the process of work. So how do we go about it? You know, God does not want things to remain what? Mysterious. He's concerned about our spirits so that we may manifest what is inside our spirits into life, everyday life. Every hard work brings what? Profit. But mere talk leads to poverty. Can we reread it? Proverbs 14 verse 23. All hard work brings what? Profit. But mere talk and talk and talk and talk leads only to poverty. No option to it. So talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and you don't put your hand to action. It actually tells you that God is very much interested in you and me making what? Profit. Varied kinds of profit, including material profit. Please don't feel ashamed of it. That's very emphatic. So profit, in simple terms, in material terms, in material what? Terms, equals all revenue minus all costs. Please, don't make it more complicated than that. Okay? And in matters of costs, there are various types of costs, please, okay? There is the spiritual cost, and then there is the social cost. And please count those first. Because if they are not counted, they can destroy you. You can be destroyed in search for materials. So there is a spiritual cost. And there is even social cost. I've found people sell their hearts just to make sure they get money. Selling their spirits to anything just to get money. That's not what God desires of you. So the first thing we have to deal with, your spirit must be aligned to Him. Anything that will contradict God's will for your life, better off you avoid it. So there is a spiritual revenue and a spiritual what? Cost. Spiritual revenue, if you want to find it, it's there. And it is related even to your material revenue at the same time. Let's find it. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, we are beginning from verse 16 up to verse 20. But we are reading it step by what? Step. This too is a grievous evil. That's what mine is here. As a man, as Abneri comes, so he will die. And what does he gain? What does he gain? Since he toils for the wind. He toils for? So as you came, so shall you do what? Go. And what do you gain? Especially if you toil for the wind. Verse 17. All his days he eats in darkness, and with great frustration, affliction, and anger. Is that a condition of a heart? Toil and toil and toil. And what is the result? Great frustration, affliction, and anger. What a terrible state of life one can work for. Then I realized in verse 18 that it is good and proper for a man to eat and to drink and to find satisfaction in his toilsome labor under the sun during the days of life God has given him. For this is his lot. It's okay to dress up nicely. It's okay for you to wear some nice clothes, to eat some nice food, to be in a hotel around here and eat all things, to even drive a VTs or even a Mercedes Benz. No problem. It's part of what God desires you to do, but there is something more to it. What does he say? Moreover, when God gives any man wealth and possessions, and he enables him to enjoy them, to accept his lot, and be joyful in his work, this is a gift of God. Nobody can give that gift.
Family Sense is on a mission of teaching God's truth for reforming marriages and building families throughout the nation. Stability of our nation can only be realized with well-founded families and marriages. We therefore invite you to engage in Family Sense gatherings. Should you have any questions or need specific assistance, please feel free to contact us on 0772 518 554 or 0754 73 4738. You can also email us on noregrets@counselor.com. God bless you. We look forward to seeing you next time.